Hello, good morning, everyone. This is just a simple reminder that the event will be starting within 5 minutes. So, hope you're all tuned in right now and just sit back and relax and wait for the webinar to begin. Thank you. Okay, good morning, everyone. I hope everyone's comfortable within their seats. Hi, I am Eliza Ashley Capco, your assistant producer for this webinar. And I would like to go over some reminders that we should take note over the course of the webinar now. Hi. First of them is please work in an environment where background noises can be muffled at the very least. And please use the chat box if you have any concerns during the webinar. And during the Q&A portion, please type your questions in the Q&A window if you have any questions. Be attentive and avoid any distractions that can affect your ability to listen into the webinar. And we would also like to note that during the Q&A portion, we will be sharing a survey at the chat box. So keep your head and minds up to that. And before starting the event proper, I would like to request that all attendees to answer a poll that will be displayed in a few for everybody here to answer. And I'll be giving 2 to 1 minute tops for you all to answer the poll. So I'll leave you to it. Okay, now that you all finished the polls and with the reminders already mentioned, I would like to hand over the control and the microphone to Mr. Remy De Leon.
All right, and thank you, Ashley. And welcome everybody to this webinar on digital transformation with Mr. Henry Aguda of Union Bank, brought to you by the partnership of the Center for Research and Communication, CRC, and the UA&P Department of Information Science and Technology, or IST. I'll be your host for today, Remy De Leon, the Communication Officer for Research at the CRC. I am being supported on this exciting new event platform by the hardworking technical production team of the UANP IST. We've got a rich show for you today, folks, because we know that everyone is currently fascinated with the idea of digital transformation. Um, in light of, well, the recent changes that have come upon all of our social lives, we know that things have really been in flux, and we are really transitioning to digital platforms a great deal. Um, Now, Union Bank has always been among the first in the country to embrace technological innovations to empower its customers. It embraces the future of banking and is committed to serving the growing needs of Filipinos everywhere by becoming Philippines' first, um, the Philippines' leading digital bank. A lot of us have really benefited a lot from the digital transformation that Union Bank has led in the banking industry. It makes her life so much better. Um, Now, Mr. Henry R. Aguda uh, is one of the people at the very forefront of Union Bank's commitment. He holds the position of Senior Executive Vice President, Chief Technology and Operations Officer, and Chief Transformation Officer of Union Bank of the Philippines. He is also the chairman of UBX Philippines Corporation, a subsidiary of the bank. He was a former chief information officer of Globe Telecom Incorporated. He served as the chief technology officer and senior vice president for the IT group of the Government System Insurance Services. We know that as the GSIS, and the group chief information technology officer of Digital Telecommunications Philippines. He was also the chief operations officer and chief financial officer of Nextel Communications Philippines. In addition to this, he also worked with Fujitsu Philippines, Bayantel, and excuse me, Information Service Systems Incorporated. He was awarded a CNCIO of the Year in 2010 in the government sector by the International Data Group. Mr. Aguda obtained his degrees in Bachelor of Science in Mathematics and Juris Doctor in Law, both from the University of the Philippines. He is the author of the book Data Privacy and Cybercrime Prevention in the Philippine Digital Age. And with that very long list of accolades, thank you very much, Henry, for joining us today. Ah, it seems we have some technical difficulties. We are going to have to get back to you a little bit. I'm waiting on word from the technical production team.
Hey guys, can you see me now?
Yes, sir. Sir Henry.
Welcome, Sir Henry. Thank you.
Hey, sorry, it took me a while to connect. I don't know why. I tried. Well, anyway, connected na.
Hi, Henry. You can begin. No problem.
Okay. So start na. Okay. Uh, okay. So good afternoon. Sorry, I had some technical difficulties getting on board Zoom. So first, thank you for inviting me to share Union Bank digital transformation journey. I have a couple of slides that I want to go through. Uh, Let me set this one up. But first, a shout out to Paulo Mateo. He's actually the one who prepared the slides. Today is his birthday. So if you see him, say happy birthday to him. Okay, so Union Bank digital transformation journey. Uh, this is usually how we start off talking about Union Bank's digital transformation. We start off with the process of telling people that it's a journey, it's a multi-year process, and like most other transformation journey, starts with the people. So we highlight the fact that it's not just about technology, it's not just about engaging customers. It starts with making sure that everybody in your company, especially your employees, are on board with the change that you're about to do. So the chart there shows employee engagement, then customer engagement, and where the rubber meets the road is if you get financial result, positive financial results out of the transformation you've done. And it goes like a circle back again to the employees. So these are the things that we did with our employee engagement. So we started with our culture, and the culture is set from the top by changing our mindset, then making sure that the mindset from the top is pervasive across the whole organization. So you notice we have a lot of employee engagement, and we didn't start by telling our employees, hey, we'll be digital. No, what we told our employees is first, let's engage each other. Let's engage the community. Let's align the values that we have. And one of the values that Union Bank has is actually Ubuntu, which is an African term for community. We are because we belong to a certain community. So not only did we ask our employees to engage one another, but also engage the community they're in general. So you see a lot of our people doing go beyond. Go beyond is not just a CSR where you donate stuff. It's a CSR where our employees are asked to participate and put in the time to help others. Then this is the mindset setting. This is a picture of our chairman, Tito Ortiz. A lot of people see him in webinars, in nowadays webinars, but before you'd see him in Singapore, Brazil, everywhere in the world talking about technology and how it's going to revolutionize banking and financial inclusion. This is him going through his C programming assignment. So story is I got 20 of our top executives to do a C programming course in the office, and that's him programming an Arduino box that is on a race car platform, and they race that car in the afternoon. So my chairman right now has not taken up coding, but he did finish his coding assignment, and it worked. So are 20 of our key executives, including our CEO. But now he has a better appreciation of what technology can do, and demystify the things around technology. I often call Tito our technology ambassador or technology advocate, but I think he's more of a technology activist, actually. The discussions I've had with him of late is a discussion about DevOps. And imagine a bank chairman engaging you in a discussion about continuous integration, continuous development. I mean, he's a different class all of his own. And once the mindset has been set from the top, the key now is how do you get everybody to adopt it, to create a culture that allows for digital transformation. Because the problem of most institutions that go into digital transformation is they forget the people element. I mean, the computers will, not run themselves. Uh, Even if you have AI, they would need people to harness, to orchestrate, and basically to make it work. And if you don't have the people element, you just bought yourself a couple of hardware and software that don't do much. So that's the first part of our employment engagement. And part of the employee engagement is to make sure that we validate what our employees have done. So you'll see a lot of us getting on the podium, like Formula One. We want podium finishes. So that's our CEO and our head of HR and our HR organization receiving an award for best employer of the year, best place to work for in Asia, etc. And we're proud of that among the other technology awards that we've gotten also. And that validates our employees' journey. And this is another award where we got best brand, and again our HR organization. So we celebrate a lot the culture that we built in our organization, and we celebrate a lot how important the strategic HR organizations are in transformation journey. So again, this is our HR dream team. We also, in order for our employees to feel technology, we had to automate and provide technology that addresses their day-to-day lives as well. This is one you have. This is an app where everything and anything that you need as an employee will be there, anywhere from loan availment to financial investments to your timesheet, your performance evaluation, etc. It's in the app. So imagine an organization where you want customers to be automated and your employees are not. How would that work? Employees would not be able to relate to what you want our customers to do. So we know this story. Happy employees translate to happy customers. Highly engaged employees translate into highly engaged customers. Highly digital employee base translates to a highly digital customer base. So we did most parts of the first year of our transformation on culture build in Union Bank. Then as soon as we are confident that our employee and our culture are aligned to the digital space that we want to play in, that's when we started accelerating our customer engagement. Engagement is key because sometimes we just sell to customers and not be able to get feedback on whether they're happy or they have issues, etc. Engagement is a two-way street. You want your customers to be talking to you, and at the start, they may be complaining about things that you launch, but then those are the things that you need in order for you to improve. So this is our customer engagement journey. We started off by saying we will build a technology platform that will be sensitive to customers. So we actually, our IT organization is very good in terms of blueprinting the technology that they have. And we're very disciplined in following a plan, but also very disciplined in this aspect where we know that everything we build has to be customer-centric, has to be self-service, it has to have financial inclusion in mind, and everything we do should be approved by the regulator. So there's a misconception that if you want to innovate and if you want to transform, you have to break laws and rules. In Union Bank, we cannot, and we did not. We need to be able to follow rules and regulations because, it's a public trust. A bank holds the trust of the public, and that trust is only as good as how your regulators see you. So instead of breaking the rules, we worked with the regulators to change the rules, modify existing regulatory framework that allows us digital transformation. As an example, when I joined banking, people were telling me, you cannot use cell phones in the banks. Come on, that's imagine you have to line up for 5 hours and you cannot even use your cell phone because you've surrendered it to the guard. But those are very old constructs that have to be challenged. And when we did present our case to the regulators, yeah, that's an obsolete rule already. Some municipalities still have it, but some municipalities prevented it. And you know why that was the case? Because there was a notion before that cell phones are used by bank robbers to coordinate their moves to rob banks. But when was the last time you had a bank robbery, right? So the regulators agreed. Some of the municipalities agreed. So now you can have cell phones in the banks. So you can have Wi-Fi in the banks. You can do your online banking transaction inside the branch as well. And then we said, how do we achieve all of the things that we have aspired for? Customer centric, self-service, financial inclusion, regulatory compliance. We said everything that we build would have to have the design objectives of Six Sigma. Has to be quality from day one. Always online. We always say it's useless to have the best features of your app if your app is down. Nobody's going to say, hey, you have the best feature. Even if you're down, they won't be able to experience it. So it must be always online. Has to be straight through. Online service doesn't mean online service should be once you've done it online, you don't have to go to the branches anymore to fulfill part of the transaction. And of course, it has to be secure. That goes without saying with everything that's happening right now with phishing and cybersecurity issues. Your system should be very secure. And these are the methodologies that we've adopted. And a lot of people talk about agile in the sense that it's an adjective. Agile means fast. But in our case, agile in Union Bank stands for a way of life. It starts with understanding the customer's requirement. So the concept is we're agile and we're fast because we are fast to meet the customer's expectations. So first, understand what the customer's expectations are, then you deliver. That makes you agile. It's useless to be agile by churning out features and capabilities that the customers don't want. You're not being agile, you're just wasting resources. So agile to us is a way of thinking where we put the customer at the center of what we do. Then we go through the usual Scrum meetings, the Jira updates, etc. Just to give you an idea, in Union Bank, if a project needs to be justified in the ManCom, it has to be articulated from the user story perspective. In fact, our CEO will demand from anybody who will propose a project to explain how the customers are going to experience the service. If anybody cannot articulate how the customer is going to experience it, it's going to be shut down from the get-go. So in Union Bank, we're all customer-centric in terms of approaching projects and technology build. That's the one that makes us agile. So agile to us is fast to respond to customer expectations. As such, we're able to build the following engagement channels. So I guess a lot of you have seen this. So if you've not, well, now you have to stay at home. But as soon as the lockdown's been lifted, you can go to our ARC branches. You see that the space has been reinvented for maximum customer experience. You can go there. Sometimes we've sold anywhere from cars to, because we ask people, what is it that you hate about branches? They hated lines, and they hated the fact that they cannot have any access to their internet devices. And then we asked them, what do you want from a branch? What do you expect to have from a bank branch? One, they need online access. We provided that to them. And they said, we don't want to line up. Okay, you don't have to. We'll give you an iPad to do the transaction. And by the way, our branch personals, we call them ambassadors now, will go to you when you need them. You don't have to queue up. And third, we wanted coffee. So we serve good coffee in branches as well. So that's the agile way of thinking. Ask first what your customer wants, and if you can provide it, then provide it immediately. And this is our answer also to most of what our customers demanded, because they said, we cannot do banking transaction efficiently if there's heavy traffic. Plus, we don't want to be constrained and do banking only during our lunch breaks or only on weekdays. So we said, okay, you can now bank with us 24 by 7, and we launch our Convergent app. In fact, we asked them, wouldn't you want to open an account with Union Bank without going to the branches? They all said yes. That's why we have a facility in our Union Bank app where you just download the app, you take a picture of yourself, show them your driver's license, and immediately you get an account open for you. You don't even have to deposit immediately money. You can just create the account, and later on you can fund it through electronic means. And just to validate, this is how our customers have gravitated towards that one. During this ECQ, a lot of people are now talking about social distancing, digital engagement. Notice it's a 2,700 increase in terms of the number of accounts open. And the signups are about 566%. It's just showing that it's working right now from a customer experience. We didn't anticipate the quarantine to happen, but I guess this is the best test of your digital infrastructure in a situation where it is not just about convenience, but now about survival. Would customers be able to avail of your service? And the number speaks for itself. This is more of a shareholder anticipation, because a lot of times when people talk about digital transformation, they will ask, okay, how long will it take? If you're in my job and you have the pressure from the board, normally it will be tough for you to say, well, it won't happen in a year, may not be in 2 years, but it might happen in 3 years. So imagine companies are evaluated every year on their income, and you're going to invest money upfront. You expect things to happen within the year. But transformation, if it's going to be meaningful and substantial, you have to give it time. So, and once you've given it time, that's when you go into financial engagement. And financial engagement is about saving costs, making more money, and increasing the bottom line. So this one comes at the tail end. And like most things in life, immediate gratification doesn't come to something that needs to be done on a long-term methodical way. So first year we did employee engagement, which is important because happy employees translate to happier customer experience. Then as soon as we have our employees engaged, we created a platform. We now started engaging our customers. Happy customers create happy bottom line. And on the third, fourth year of our transformation, this is where we saw a lot of the major benefits realized. We decreased, our efficiency went up 600%. And, you know, as soon as your efficiencies go up, your ability to bring down costs increases as well. We've been able to create new experiences for our customers. Yeah. And we've been able to launch new robots as well that are, imagine during this pandemic situation where not a lot of people can go to work, we have robots actually manning our branches at this point. And the nice thing about the whole cycle of employee engagement, customer engagement, and once you get into the financial engagement where you get costs reduced, you get profitability up, and you know, you can just check Union Bank's latest financial statements that are publicly available. Last year, we increased income by 100%. This year, in spite of the situation with the pandemic, I think we still we are still reflecting robust increases in income. Show you some more slides. I mean, you have efficiency, cost reduction, and savings. Here, this is a good slide. This is for my shareholders. We noticed that these are the numbers, 5, 7, 11. So our customers are have 5 times higher in terms of their outstanding balance. They spend 7 times more if they're digital. And our income per customer is 11 times higher when they're digital. And this now accounts for why the digital transformation would eventually pay for itself in the long run. The nice thing about being able to do the digital platform effectively and validated by the financial results is now we can go into innovations. And this is where we unlock the ability of our platforms to provide new services. Like we created UBX, which is a fully owned subsidiary of Union Bank that is now going beyond banking. We have a company for logistics, for SME, and platforms for other rural banks. Let me go through some of the things that we've been doing right now. Part of our innovation track is also to spread our the word out there in terms of how you accelerate technology. That's why we put up a Union Bank Accelerator program where we work with schools and similar institutions to spread the advocacy of increasing the technology footprint of the Philippines. I mean, this is the work that's being done by Nix and her team, and I think we've been. I think Accelerator's been up for only a handful of months, but they've actually onboarded several students and institutions already. I guess just to round it up, the digital transformation journey starts with our employees, creating the right culture and the right mindset, moving up to addressing our customers' requirement. That's why we created platforms and processes that put the customer in the center. And because of the investments we made on employees and customers, we were able to extract cost savings, efficiencies, and bottom line are much better. Because of them, we're able to create innovation as well. Now, my colleague Pao Mateo wanted to create some relevance in terms of the slide to the current situation of COVID. He termed it as crisis engagement. I don't know whether you engage crisis, but I guess the terminology here is more crisis preparedness. One of the things that has actually highlighted about Union Bank's platform is its crisis resilient infrastructure, and because of that, we've been able to launch services where people can enjoy while they're quarantined. One, we were able to partner with a lot of the motorcycle hailing companies like Grab, Angkas, Joyride, and I think we're talking now to Ninja Van. Imagine we're now delivering cards from the homes of our bank employees to the homes of customers, and this was done in the middle of the quarantine. Imagine all the work that they needed to do, the interfacing with all of these motorcycle riding companies. This has been picking up. People can now deposit from the safety of their homes their checks to their accounts. We also did our share by providing free PesoNet, NRPS transfers. There are things that, this one is a nice innovation. So the problem during the ECQ was a lot of people will need access to their cash still, because still this is a cash-driven society. But some may not have the opportunity or the access to branches and ATMs. So what we did was we interfaced with a lot of the remittance counters, Cebuana, LBC, Perahab, and Palawan Express, in order for our customers to be able to transfer money to people and have those people get the cash from 11,000 remittance centers all over the Philippines. That was done during ECQ, actually. We've been doing a lot of work for the SMEs. One of the things that we provide in Global Linker is the ability for SMEs now to create their own online presence. Like we have a service called Centro. So if you're an SME and you're store or your place of business is inaccessible by your customers, then create an online presence. And this one, you don't have to pay for anything. You can go to Global Linker or Centro and just create your online presence. And then we're helping out on the logistics side so that once everything is back to a situation where people can now start delivering from the ports to the homes, we have a digital utility platform that they can use. In the meantime, most everything that a customer needs to do from banking, they can do from home. So that's a nice thing about a digital transformation that has come full circle. We're now able to reinvent services and offering to customers that we've never thought of from the beginning. And I guess bottom line is start with the people, move up to your customer, you get financial results that will allow you to fund innovation. And with everything that you have in the ecosystem, it makes you more crisis resilient. And that's I guess I'll open it up for question and answer and maybe reaction from Professor Chippy. Remy?
Yeah. Nice to hear from you, Sir Henry. We lost you a while ago. And but we got your talk, and that was really very insightful. Uh, yeah, I think at this point we have Sir Chippy waiting. He'll be adding his own perspective to Sir Henry's talk. Sir Chippy Buenafe is one of the consultants of the Center for Research and Communication, and he is currently the chair of the Department of Information Science and Technology at the University of Asia and Pacific. He has had 2 decades worth of corporate experience in information technology, and during his stint in the IT industry, he also got varied experience in pre-sales, in business development, and in the R&D initiatives that are marketed by local and regional sales organizations in the area of system integration and application packages and management. He was a fellow of the Intellectual Property Research and Training Institute, or IPRTI, the think tank of IPO Philippines. That's the government agency responsible for the enforcement and management of intellectual property in the Philippines. It's quite a rich range of experience. Anyway, take it away, Sir Chippy.
Okay, thank you very much, Remy, and thank you very much, Henry, for the wonderful presentation earlier, describing Union Bank's specific journey as regards digital transformation. Now, the format of this webinar is typically we have somebody present a topic and then somebody provides a reaction to the presentation. So I have the unenviable task of trying to provide a reaction that is both academic and perhaps practical at the same time. But maybe I'd like to zero in on a key theme that maybe Henry was talking about it as he went through the organizational journey, the experiences with the customers and the like. And at the heart of any transformation, whether it be digital transformation or even the traditional transformation initiatives that an organization may embark, the key idea that Henry zeroed in was the importance and the centrality, if you may, of people, whoever they are, whether they are employees of your own organizations or if they are your customers. Okay, and perhaps you can even extend it to all the other players in your activities, even your suppliers, even. So whenever we think about transformation in any organization, we always look at people. Now, allow me to be a little bit more academic in the approach. In technology management, there is this idea of trying to find ways on how to create value and to capture value. And as long as we always have that concrete idea or concrete steps to actually create value and capture that value, then that transformation, be it a digital transformation or your typical standard textbook transformation that we've known perhaps for half a century, since the science of management came into being, um, you can be sure that the success of such transformation would always be pretty much on the upside. So that's something that I was pretty much impressed me with that presentation. That while it is a very specific story of how Union Bank actually went through its digital transformation, uh, the things that we can learn, that we can apply in our own circumstances, would be that, okay, it's important to put people in front. That's one. The second idea is that we have to understand how can we create value. Anything that we do for organization, anything that we do for our customers, anything that we even do for our suppliers, and even our affiliate partners would be what value can we create from that relationship, okay? From that employer-employee relationship, from that customer-vendor relationship, what value can we create? And nowadays, you have a lot of tools, a lot of solutions and technology that can actually help create that value without having too much cost on the side of the organization. And I think Union Bank has been able to present some examples. Perhaps those who are attending this webinar right now, coming also from the financial industry, I've noticed from the results of our poll earlier that we've had a sizable number of them. Um, it doesn't have to be the same things that Union Bank is doing. But I guess the fundamental question that these organizations can ask would be, how can I add value? How can I provide more value to my customers, to my clients? Okay. And another thing about Union Bank's journey, about the story that was narrated earlier, was the fact that they've also taken care of people. And I think, especially now with the current pandemic, I think it becomes more and more important that the tools that we use, the solutions that we employ, okay, in order to make progress in terms of our organization's trajectory towards success, is the idea that, okay, everything that I do, how does that add value? How does that create value to each and every employee that the organization deals with, right? So that's also the kicker there. It need not be something that we would want to look into. Okay. Now I'm not going to present a very lengthy presentation around this, but definitely as by way of reaction, maybe just to sum up things. Okay, number one, okay, the centrality of people when we consider digital transformation. That's the first thing that we want to look into. The second thing that we have to look into is to ask ourselves, if I use technology, if I use digital platforms, if I use all this new fancy stuff, the question I'd like to ask is, how does this create value? Okay, and lastly, how can everyone actually benefit and take advantage of the value that was created from those initiatives? And that's it. That's pretty much from my end as reaction. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Sir Chippy, for your thoughts. Uh, we really have picked up a great deal from Union Bank. We've learned a lot. Uh, I guess before we move on to questions, I'll get some business out of the way. Please take note that there should now be a second survey in the chat room. Go over there, look for the Google Forms link, and you'll be able to answer it and give us some important feedback. You will also be able to, if you want to send longer form feedback, just send an email to ist.dt@uap.asia. Uh, and this is where also I have to thank the technical production team that's behind our exciting new platform between CRC and IST. We have Ricardo Lorenzo Silva, we have Justin Rainier Berosillo, Johan Rafael King, Roan Luke Gamboa, Derek Daniel De Yuna, Enrico Ciudan, Alyssa Ashley Capco, Isabella Martina Molo, Luigi Christopher Aquino, and of course, we want to thank Henry's wonderful team at UBP Accelerator. The UBP Accelerator program team has really been very helpful to us. They're always making up something new and exciting for us who are customers and potential customers of Union Bank. Uh, Yeah. Also, there's my own team here at the Center for Research and Communication. That's Clarice Buday and Martin Badoy. I also want to encourage you to find us all on social media. Look for the Center for Research and Communication at LinkedIn and Facebook. You can find the IST by looking for the UA&P Department of Information Science and Technology. And on Facebook, you can find the Union Banker if you're looking for Union Bank. Which brings us to the results of the survey. It looks like, wow, 86% of everybody who's listening right now is going through some form of digital transformation. Uh, and 59% of the people who are listening are in education. The rest are in information and communication and in financial and insurance activities. And then we have quite a few also from the government sector, I see, and from manufacturing and construction. So we've got interest certainly from a lot of people. And we have questions. I believe the first one comes from Alex TS. Uh, what was the impetus that started the bank on its journey in the first place? What motivated Union Bank to get started and to take what is now this leading position as a digital leader in the banking sector? How did we get? How did we get here? How did we start? Sir Henry?
And Remy, that's a great question. So, uh, what's playing in the background is basically the arc. Since I can't bring people to the arc right now because of the lockdown, might as well show you the next best thing, which is a video of what is there before selling anything from bags to having seminars with everybody. That's our first ATM Bitcoin ATM. So your question earlier on what motivated Union Bank. Well, first it wasn't motivated by survival. So Union Bank was actually doing very well business wise. It's one of the top corporate banks, and it's been very very profitable for the longest time. And I mean, if Unibank hadn't gone into digital transformation, it would still be making good money. But then it's more of purpose and meaning, because our chairman said, you know, we need to do financial inclusion for the country in general, and financial inclusion. You know the sad story of how many people have bank accounts, and sometimes the people who really need the money don't have access to the money that they need. So his aspiration is to broaden the base of people that will have access to financial services. And there are two ways of doing it. You can either do the brick and mortar approach where you build up several branches. And we calculated the amount of time that it would take us to build 1,000 or so branches. It will take us 10 to 15 years. Just imagine there are only 52 weeks in a year, and imagine building a new branch every week. That's not going to happen. So how do we onboard as many Filipinos on the banking industry? We go digital. So the motivation is actually more how do we get more people to have effective access to banking services, and the fact that going digital allows you to become more efficient and more profitable. That's a bonus that we're happy to enjoy. But it's a nice thing that we were able to onboard more people. At the same time, it has resulted in a lot of benefits. So the slides I'm showing you are basically talking about what Professor Chippy was saying about people. Imagine this video and take away the people in the video. You'll only see computers, cars, coffees, and stuff. So it makes for a more holistic and a more engaging atmosphere if you start putting people in the middle of your narrative. That's why earlier I said we start with the people.
Mhm.
So that's it. That's basically financial inclusion is our primary mover to go digital transformation.
And that's actually an area where I'm very curious, and I see that a lot of the questions are along those lines as well. There are cultural barriers, of course, that you have to deal with when you're transitioning to a digital medium.
Hmm.
Uh, and I was wondering, and a bunch of people also online are wondering about the challenges that you face there. Uh, Specifically both on the employee side in terms of especially for organizations that rely a lot on their legacy systems.
Hmm.
Do you have any advice for helping to cope with that cultural transition?
So, so the fortunate thing about my job, so I got brought in as a digital transformation guy or the transformation guy about 3.5 years back. Uh, is I had a very nice talk with our chairman and our CEO Edwin and Tito. Then I told them there are two ways you can do transformation in your company. One is to break it up into two. You have the new organization, which is going to be the transform organization, and the other one will be your BAU or business as usual. There are
Mm.
pros and cons to doing that because I've done the same model in a previous company, and what I've realized is while you can move very fast, there will be a lot of organizational and political problems because the new organization, imagine the new organization or the transform organization will be building new stuff that they have to put into production. Guess who's going to put that into production? The people in the BAU. And why would the people in the BAU be happy to implement plans and programs that would make them obsolete? So that approach would require a lot of push and pull between the supposedly new organization and the old organization. So we decided in doing a more holistic approach to transformation where everybody has to sign up, and we call it nobody gets left behind. And that's where I ended up doing both technology and operations. So it gives me an opportunity to enlist the help of people in operations to do the transformation. In fact, in Union Bank, we've had branch managers, branch ambassadors, tellers do Java programming courses, and we've had data science courses where some of the people who actually topped the courses were from bank operations and even from HR. So, so to hurdle that cultural challenge of the new and the old, we said it's just one. We're an Ubuntu culture. Everybody's together. Everybody who wants to participate in the transformation as an opportunity. So we've created new jobs for people whose legacy functions have changed. Like we have people from branches who are doing robotic process automation. Because a lot of the things are now low code development anyway, so they can easily gravitate towards that. And in the past, if you notice, if you have an IT organization and you have a transformation organization, you will also solicit the help of subject matter experts. So a transformation organization doesn't have only programmers, but they will have subject matter experts from the line. So we said, might as well merge everybody. The transform organization is the BAU that becomes more automated over time. So that's how we overcame the challenge. Now, it takes a lot of communication, takes a lot of engagement. That's why engagement is very important because people that you've targeted to change their habits and their way of work have to be engaged. And the nice thing about Union Bank also is if you look at our Gallup employee engagement score, we're among the highest in the Philippines actually, definitely highest among the banks in terms of Gallup scores. So that's how you overcome the challenges. If you create a very toxic environment where people are pitted against each other to compete between the new and the old, now that would fail, or it will succeed at the expense of a lot of people leaving your organization. So we opted to do the transformation together instead of dividing the organization.
That is a very, very interesting insight. I'm actually going to go through the recording, I think, and study that in more depth. Because there's a lot there to learn. There's a bit of digesting that I have to do there. Um, I only have one question left, and there are so many. Um, so I'm going to have to pick one that really arouses my interest.
Hmm.
How did Union Bank cope with the glitches that we know are so typical? That are, I mean, other banks are infamously beset with glitches. Union Bank seems to have dealt with those very well over the last couple of years. It's very
Yeah.
impressive. How are you doing that?
Okay, so I'm showing you a video at the background. That's our bank on wheels. And the reason why I'm showing that is related to your question. How do we deal with glitches? First, as I've said, it always has to be online. If it's not online, useless to have features that are cool and novel if customers cannot get access to it. So we have a very strong deployment to production discipline in Union Bank. The problem is often if you want to accelerate change, you have to sacrifice quality. And if you want to increase quality in your deployment, you have to reduce the number of things that you have to create. So in Union Bank, so that's easy. In any organization, if it's one or the other, it will be a push and pull between your development shop and your IT operation shop. In our case, uh, we said that that can't happen. We cannot have velocity sacrificing quality and quality sacrificing velocity. That's why we created agile methodology. So that's why we adopted the agile methodology. So most of the changes that we do are done frequently, but in small stages. So if we're going to deploy a change in production, it will be smaller codes, such that if there are problems, we can easily revert. And that can only happen if you're agile. If you're waterfall, and you know the story of waterfall, right? It'll take you 6 months to write down the specs, another 3 or 4 months to code it, and another 2 to 3 months to test it, then deploy it. And once you deploy it, you have to shut down the system for 2 to 3 days because it's a huge change. So in Union Bank, the way we avoided glitches but still introduce innovations like the bank on wheels that you're seeing at the back is we do it in more frequent releases but smaller code releases. That's how we did it. Plus the fact that we have very, very good telco partners because in the Philippines, uh, and unfortunately, if you just rely on one telco, you'll have a problem because most of the infrastructure of the telcos are not within their control. Diggings in the street, typhoon, etc. So we've signed up with a lot of good telco partners. In fact, I'd like to say a shout out to Buboy Romero. He's actually the COO of Converge Telecoms. He's one of our key telco partners as well. He's watching the webinar right now. He just sent me a message. Hi, Buboy.
Wow, we are getting flooded with so many questions. Um, and unfortunately, that was all the time we had for some of them. I actually wanted to ask a question about the coffee since it looks so good in your
It is
background.
good. Good.
um, but unfortunately, that's it. I think we will be going through the questions, and we'll probably be sending them over to Sir Henry, and maybe we will be able to address that at either at our next event, or maybe we'll be able to send you guys something when we release the recording of this particular event. Yeah, we'd like to thank again the accelerator program team. We'd like to thank Sir Henry, Sir Chippy for their insights. This it's now noon. We're running a little bit over time. Um, Thank you, everyone. Follow Union Bank at the Union Banker on Facebook. Also, the UA&P IST at uh, U, UA&P Information and Department of Information Science and Technology on Facebook and on LinkedIn, where we're starting to get a lot of likes. You can find CRC at Center for Research Communication. You'll find the same thing on Facebook. And unless there are any further questions from either Sir Chippy or Sir any issues from Sir Henry, I think that's it for this afternoon. Thank you for attending our webinar with Union Bank uh, through the collaboration of the Center for Research and Communication and the Department of Information Science and Technology at UA&P. Thank you and good night.
Thanks, Remy. Thanks, Professor Chippy. Thanks, guys. Happy birthday,
Thank you.
Pao. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.